So first Litecoin, first altcoin, I believe, was Namecoin. It was tried to be a decentralized DNS system, so you have the .bit domain names. And the problem with Namecoin is actually, it didn't really know if it was actually a currency or if it was a domain registrar. So I think the reason why Namecoin is not very successful is because it actually didn't try to do both and didn't do either very well. And one other big problem with Namecoin is it uses the same proof of work as Bitcoin. So we have the problem where Bitcoin miners, it was competing with Bitcoin for miners. So Bitcoin miners would jump to find Namecoin was more profitable and then leave Namecoin when it's not. And the problem is when all the Bitcoin miners left, all of a sudden they left it with a huge, very high difficulty, and it made it very hard. It took very long to mine the next block. And it was something like it would take 5 months for miners to actually get to the next difficulty change, which would reduce it by a lot. So they had to resort to merge mining, which, in my point of view, wasn't that good because it actually made the coin just a byproduct of Bitcoin mining. Next, there was Xcoin. So Xcoin actually started the first altcoin craze back in 2011. It was created by someone named Thomas Nasakyoto, which is an anonymous person because it's just an anagram of Satoshi Nakamoto. It had 580,000 coins pre-mined. Basically, this guy was just mining by himself before he launched it for like, I guess like a month. He mined 580,000 coins and then launched it. And actually just tried to make it successful, make it worth something so that he had a lot of money. He supposedly used it for bounty for software development, but I didn't think that went anywhere. And because of this pre-mine, people were like, wait, why should we support this coin and give this person so much money when it was just like a complete copy of Bitcoin? So people came up with the idea to fork it, launch something that has zero pre-mine, and see if that would work. And they called it IO coin for some reason. O stands for the zero pre-mine. It's a horrible name. No one could figure out how to pronounce it when they see that word. And it didn't have much developer support, so it didn't really go anywhere. And then there was Solidcoin, created by someone named Real Solid, his handle. It had 3 minutes blocks, which was pretty innovative at the time, because it was really fast, a lot faster than Bitcoin, and had fixed fees because he didn't feel like the transaction fee in Bitcoin was a bit confusing, so he wanted to make something that was standard. The problem with fixed fees is every single transaction costs the same amount of fees, so he got attacked with a lot of transaction spam. And he was kind of a control freak. He, if you go to his forum or go on IRC and say anything bad about him or his coin, he would kick you and ban you. So he decided to actually shut down his coin because it got attacked and relaunched it as Solidcoin 2. Solidcoin 2 had a problem where he actually created centralized mining where every other block had to be mined by him or his friends. And that really didn't fly well with a lot of people, but he had a lot of supporters. And then there was Skyscale. It's created by Locus with help from Artports. Like Skyscale had a unique feature where it was experimentation. It tried to do 15-second blocks, which was extremely fast. And it wasn't very successful because the blocks were so fast that there were like tons of orphans, people were wasting time mining on previous blocks, and a lot of wasted work. And it didn't go anywhere because Locus was actually not a developer, so he didn't really support it. When the coin had problems, he didn't really do anything about it. He also launched Tenebricks, which is the first coin that did script mining. Tenebricks had 5-minute blocks and 50 coins indefinitely, so there's no cap on the inflation. And the problem with Tenebricks was that it had 7.7 million coins pre-mined. So supposedly those coins were supposed to be used for a laundry service where you would, if you wanted to launder your dirty coins, you would send coins to him and he would send you back coins from the 7.7 million clean coins. So he would launder the coins for you. And the problem with that is no one could actually enforce that. He claimed that he would be using it for laundry, but who knows, right? If Tenebricks is worth $20 like Litecoin is today, he would have $150 million, and I doubt he would still be around. because he's anonymous. He could just leave with the 7.7 million coins. So people didn't like that. So another movement came to push for something called fair bricks, which is basically tenant bricks with zero pre-mine. But unfortunately, tenant bricks was built on top of Multicoin, which is a code that did like Bitcoin alternative coins, made it easy to create alternative coins. But the code wasn't very well supported, had a lot of bugs, and Fairbricks came out, kind of just stumbled out and did a lot of things wrong and didn't really take off. So why create another altcoin? It was, at that time, I was playing around with the Bitcoin code. It was kind of an excuse to just play around with the Bitcoin code. And I also thought that I could do something better, right? What's out there, honestly, was all crap. It was people trying different things, but a lot of like greedy and shady creators trying to just strike it rich. And I didn't really like that. And I thought I could do better. I can launch a coin that's better than all of them and do it in a fair manner. So, and also it was just fun. I had a lot of fun doing it. Then I set forth to design Litecoin, right? I wanted something simple. I wanted a good name. It took me a long time to think of it. Litecoin was a light version of Bitcoin. I also thought of the silver analogy. So I wanted to create something that was a little bit cheaper than Bitcoin, had a lot more coins, and felt more lightweight. So in order to make it feel more lightweight, I made it 4 times faster. So sending Litecoins around actually does feel easier. And then obviously I wanted to do a fair launch. Zero pre-mine, pre-announce it ahead of time, and that's what I did. So basically that's what Satoshi did, right? I didn't want it to be greedy, I didn't want it to pre-mine. I wanted to launch, give everyone a fair chance. And I realized early on that in order for an altcoin to succeed, it kind of needed a different proof of work. Because if you were competing with Bitcoin for the same set of miners, then it's hard to survive because they would only mine your coin if it was more profitable. It would just leave you in that roller coaster mining difficulty. And it's hard for an altcoin to set itself apart from Bitcoin. But being a CPU-only mined coin at that time, then people can mine Bitcoin and Litecoin at the same time and not have a conflict of interest. And then I also wanted to make sure I kept everything else exactly the same as Bitcoin. Bitcoin is actually awesome. Satoshi is amazing. There's no reason to change things just for the sake of changing it. So I made a few small changes to, I think, make it a little bit better and left everything else the same. And also, it makes it easy for me to pull down any new changes, new bug fixes, new upgrades to Bitcoin pretty easily. And developing Litecoin, so I spent what I first did was I generated the Genesis block. So it actually wasn't that easy to do, to generate a Genesis block. One thing people don't realize is I put that quote into the Genesis block. Satoshi, when he launched the coin, he put the quote from a headline of a UK newspaper saying something about bank bailouts. It had a date on it. So the reason why he did that is because then he can show that the Genesis block was not created before that date, because the hash of his quote was in the block. So at the time when I created Litecoin, Steve Jobs just passed away, and I'm a huge admirer of Steve Jobs, so I decided to put him into Litecoin. So I put the hash of this quote into the Litecoin Genesis block. And I also changed the addresses to make it start with L for Litecoin as opposed to 1. And one neat thing is when I made the transaction speed 4 times faster and I made the growth the same as Bitcoin, it conveniently made it 4 times more coins. So I only had to change one thing, which made my life a little bit easier. And it took about a week of planning to plan all this, and only about 4 hours of coding. So it wasn't very hard, very few changes, but a lot of the work went into planning and designing the coin. Okay, so launching Litecoin. I wanted a fair launch, so I released the source and binary a week ahead of time, so people can actually run the code or even compile from source and test out mining on the testnet. So people can basically be ready for the actual launch. And I created a poll to vote for when they actually wanted to launch, so it's more democratic. I think it was like 9 p.m. at my time wasn't too bad for me, but it could have been like 3 a.m. So, and then so I withheld the Genesis block, so people couldn't mine on the main chain because they didn't have the Genesis block. The way I did it is I withheld 2 config changes that describes the Genesis block. It's pretty technical. It's the end time and end nonce. And then when I actually launched at the time, all I did was I announced these 2 lines of code on IRC and the forums, and all everyone had to do was copy them, put it in their config files, restart Litecoin, and then all of a sudden Litecoin would be mining the actual main blockchain that's supposed to testnet. And at that time, like thousands of people jumped in at that minute and started mining. And it was 0 pre-mine, but actually I had to mine the first 2 blocks plus the Genesis block. I just wanted to make sure that everything's okay. I didn't want to like screw up. So I mined the first 2 blocks, everything looked okay. I launched it, and then like the next block I got was like 50, and then the next block I got was like 200. So, and then the rest is history. So GPU started, someone figured out how to efficiently mine script with GPU. Now it's dominated by GPUs, whereas Bitcoin is dominated by ASICs. And it actually managed to reach $1 billion in market cap late last year. And last year, it had a 300 times increase in price, 100 times increase in difficulty. If you guys don't know, Bitcoin only had a 50 times increase in price. So if you bought Litecoin instead of Bitcoin in the beginning of last year and held it to the end, you would have done 6 times better than if you had bought Bitcoin. So why did Litecoin succeed? Isn't it just another copy paste of Bitcoin? I mean, it's what? Why did it succeed? So one interesting thing happened when I joined. So I joined Coinbase about 6 months ago, and they made a huge splash about how they hired the creator of Litecoin. And on Reddit, one of the first comments was that did Coinbase need another copy and paste expert? And yeah, it's sort of right. And then the comment below that, someone said, let's see you copy and paste according to $100 million market cap. So I didn't have to respond. I'll be the first to admit, Litecoin did not succeed on its technical merits. I mean, I went to MIT, I worked at Google for 6 years. Litecoin was definitely not the pinnacle of my technical achievements. But the reason why it succeeded is because it copied all the good stuff from the other altcoins previously, and none of the bad. And it had good marketing. The name I thought up was good. When people heard about Litecoin, they remember it. They remember the silver to gold analogy. It's kind of a self-fulfilling prophecy when you tell people Litecoin is silver. They just hear, they remember it, and they tell other people, and all of a sudden Litecoin is silver. Litecoin became number 2 just because I claimed it was number 2. And one of the interesting things my brother, Bobby Lee, CEO of BTC China, said to me recently was, after I said Litecoin is silver, no one else can come out and say that their coin is silver. Because that would be silly for them to say that when Litecoin is obviously silver. They could say that their coin is copper, but who the hell wants to be copper? And another reason why Litecoin succeeded is because of the fairness. I saw that people wanted a coin to be fair. They didn't want to support a coin that lined someone else's pockets. So I didn't have any coin. I only pre-mined 2 coins, which is 100 Litecoins worth about $2,000 today, which is awesome. But other than that, I didn't do any pre-mine, so I mined like the rest of the people, and I bought some coins on exchanges also when it came on exchange. And also people like the fact that they can mine with their CPU, script binding. So script made it more fair to people because it was, everyone can mine with their CPU, and now everyone can mine with their GPU. And it had good developer support. So I sticked around whenever things happened, I reacted quickly. We got attacked with transaction spam. I had to quickly fix it so that it was more expensive for people to attack the coin. And also, early last year, Warren Togami, founder of Fedora, joined the team. He was awesome. He did a tremendous job at leading the development efforts in moving Litecoin to 0.8, make it up to speed, and fix any bugs and issues. future of Litecoin, what we're going to do. We're going to still keep up with all the upstream changes, still have the goal of being light. So one thing we're working on is doing Litecoin J, which allows the SPV wallets, which are the thin clients, so that you don't have to actually download the whole blockchain. And this obviously makes it more lighter. So you can do the Android wallet and something like in the Electrum wallet. So the clear path to success for Litecoin is similar to Bitcoin, right? The end goal is merchants, which is cut off here, but the end goal is merchant support, right? You want merchants to accept Litecoin, Bitcoin everywhere, just like they currently accept Visa, MasterCard, and American Express, right? That's the end goal. So before we get to merchants, merchants don't like the volatility of the coin. They want payment processors like the Coinbases, the BitPays, and Goldcoin, which recently announced support for Litecoin. They want these payment processors to support Litecoin so that they don't have to, so they get fiat right away without holding on to Litecoin. And the payment processors obviously need exchanges so that they can unload their coins, or they can buy coins from the exchange when they need to. And Litecoin currently has a few exchanges like BTC, Cryptsy, Kraken, and a lot of the other new exchanges that are coming up I've talked to, they all are going to support Bitcoin and Litecoin. And it seems clear to me that people have started to realize Bitcoin and Litecoin is an awesome 1-2 punch in cryptocurrency. And supporting both made a lot of sense. And there's quite a few exchanges in China that supports Bitcoin and Litecoin. So that's all I have today. I will leave. I will stop. And with a quote.
Greetings, Mr. Lake. Tom Vaughn here. Currently, ASICs mining is dominating the Bitcoin space. It seems that folks are developing ASICs for the script mining. Where do you see the future in that? And is Litecoin going to remain ASICs resistant, or is it going to go with the flow? Thanks.
Sure. So the thing about script is script has made, with the memory requirements, have made the different generations of hardware not as extreme in the efficiency gain as Bitcoin. So Bitcoin, GPU mining in Bitcoin was like 100 times more efficient than CPU mining. And likewise, ASIC mining was 100 times more efficient than GPU mining. So when GPU came on the scene, it wiped out all those CPUs, and they were all not worth, it wasn't worth it for CPU mining for Bitcoin. And likewise, when ASIC came on, all the GPUs, it wasn't worth it anymore, so they actually turned to Litecoin. And Litecoin is designed with script, so it's not fully ASIC proof. ASICs for Litecoin will come out probably just this year, and my hope is that the efficiency gain for ASIC over GPU wouldn't be as extreme. So it'll be maybe like a few times or at most 10 times more efficient. And then the GPUs would still be around. People can still mine with their GPUs profitably, and we'll have some ASICs that are that would be more efficient, cheaper power costs. So I think ASIC is not as scary as people think. And obviously, Bitcoin is mined by ASICs, and it's still around.
Mark Price, CoinOne. When will Litecoin be available on Coinbase?
That's a good question. Currently, no plans. The reason is because Coinbase still requires like a lot more exchanges to actually unload the volatility to acquire the coins, and so until there's like Mt. Gox supporting it or Bitstamp supporting it, it would be really hard, really risky for Coinbase to support it if all we had to use was BTC. So another reason is Coinbase did not want to confuse their users right now, right? Because Bitcoin is already complicated enough. If someone goes to Coinbase and they're like, you have Bitcoin, Litecoin, and whatever, it's kind of confusing. So we wanted to make sure we have a good enough, easy picture for someone new to Bitcoin to not confuse them. So I would say it's a matter of time, because I'm there. If Coinbase is ready, and I'll be the first one to jump in and actually implement it. And and Litecoin keeps on growing, keeps on becoming more and more popular. It's just a matter of time.
Hey Charles, John Megalabidi, PureCoin Next. Nice to meet you, by the way.
Oh, hey.
A question about BTC China. You talked about how Coinbase is waiting for maybe a Mt. Gox or something to implement it.
Mm-hmm.
What about the BTC China route? Is there any discussions currently? Can you talk a little bit about that, please? Thank you.
Yeah, I try to call my brother every day. He ignores my phone call. So, he's really busy with his work. Obviously, he has a lot of he has a lot of issues, right? Trying to supposedly next week's going to really crack down. We don't know what's going to happen. So he's busy with his company. So obviously he wants to support Litecoin. It's about when he has enough resources to do it. Yeah. Did I answer your question?
Hi, Charlie. Tim Delgado with Kryptonite Worldwide. Quick question. On the Coinbase side, for all of us that went through the rigor mortis of being able to do instant buys, things like that, when are we going to be back to the 10 a day versus 1?
We're always looking into it's kind of like fraud versus reward ratio, right? The 10 a day was good for users, but it was awesome for fraudsters, right? They're like, they buy 10 coins with a stolen bank account, they withdraw it, and then we're stuck with the bill. So the reason why we reduced it is mainly because of fraud. So we can't accept the risk. So we wanted to give people instant coins because they can use it to buy stuff right away. I mean, it's an awesome feature, but if we kept on doing that with 10 Bitcoins, we'd go out of business right away. So unfortunately, I don't think we'll go back to 10 unless we find really new ways to combat that kind of fraud.
Jordan Adams with the Quantum Leap Foundation. Pertaining to the ASIC question, they're coming in summer from a company called Alpha Technologies. They're currently sold out, but they offer a lot less efficiency power-wise, but price-wise, you pay basically the same for the mega hash. So you gain more profit off of less power. But my question is, what do you think about SolarCoin and the effort of making mining do something good for the environment, if you've heard of it?
I have not heard of it. What is it again?
SolarCoin is basically an altcoin that for every coin mined, they will provide 1 hour of renewable energy through solar panels.
Who's they?
The company it's backed by a third party who does the panel work and maintains them, and SolarCoin is the foundation who manages the coin.
It's interesting, but it's a little bit centralized. Like, why would you trust that they would continue to do that for the rest of history?
Yeah, and I mean, that's the whole thing is, it is happening, but what do you think about that concept that we can turn something that happens mining, which is what I do full time, we can turn that into something positive also while doing something good and helping out altcoins?
If that's, I mean, I really like that concept, like even like prime coin, where proof of work is actually trying to find new prime numbers, or like, I think it's called like Gridcoin, where they try to do like more interesting stuff like protein folding and finding cure to cancer. If you can find a coin where the proof of work is actually useful, I'm all for it, if it's actually possible. So I would support it.
Hey Charlie, Steve Beauregard with Philcoin, and thank you again for what you've done. I think one of the things I want to ask is the characteristic of the person that has Litecoin drastically different than Bitcoin, and do you think they're more apt or less apt to spend their money?
So, I mean, most Litecoin users are all Bitcoin users, right? They like both Bitcoin and Litecoin. They kind of want to diversify their holdings. So those users would spend Bitcoin just as much as they would spend Litecoin. Some users are actually Litecoin only. They really believe in Litecoin. They got in Litecoin introduced them to cryptocurrency, and they don't hold any Bitcoin. And those users obviously would just use Litecoin. Right? So it was great that GoCoin is accepting Litecoin, so those users did not have to convert their Litecoin to Bitcoin before using them. And I hope more and more payment processors will start accepting Litecoin.
Yes, I heard I think his name is Adam Back, the guy that did Hashcash. I recently heard a interview with him, and he was of the opinion that, especially at this stage, we should not have more than one coin, that we should only have Bitcoin because it's confusing enough and hard enough to convince people and explain it. And once they read articles that, oh, well, there's Bitcoin, but there's a million other coins, then it kind of devalues it in some people's minds. How would you respond to that?
I agree. I mean, in the ideal world for Bitcoin is there's only Bitcoin and there's no other coins to confuse the issue. But in reality, people like choices. So if it wasn't Litecoin, some other coin would be number 2. And my response to that is Litecoin is like the running mate with Bitcoin. We're all fighting the same battle. We want cryptocurrency to take over the world, right? So you have Bitcoin and Litecoin. I mean, and Bitcoin people should actually be happy that the second coin is Litecoin and not like Dogecoin or some other coin that you're kind of embarrassed to talk about it. So that's my response to that.
What's your third and fourth coin that you like?
Well, the market is actually very good at deciding what the good coins are. Like currently, the third is like Purecoin, and Purecoin does something cool, which is it tries to use proof of stake in addition to proof of work, so that it's harder, maybe even impossible to attack it with 51%, because you also need a lot of coins. So if you have a lot of coins and you have a lot of mining power, why would you attack the coin when it's going to totally like destroy your value? So that's an interesting concept, and there's a reason why it's number 3. 4, I don't know what number 4 is. I mean, all the coins are fighting for number 4. Dogecoin might be number 4 for a while. Right.
Such excitement.
Such excitement, indeed.
How about the contract?
Right here, sir. We can give you a question.
How you doing? Thank you for being here.
Thanks.
The contract coins, like Master Coin or the color coins, which I don't know a lot about, but I know there's code within the coins. Like, what effect will that have in the future of the crypto, and what effect on your coin?
Interesting. So these coins, it's like people consider it like the Bitcoin 2.0 movement. There's like Master Coin, Color Coin, Next, MC2, and like the recently announced Ethereum. So they're all trying to do something different than. So there's a bunch of all these altcoins I was talking about were all like forks of Bitcoin. These new Bitcoin 2.0 coins are not actually forks of Bitcoin. They actually work on top of Bitcoin, or they're a whole new code base. So it's actually interesting. They're actually fighting to see which one is actually becoming the next big thing. So I don't know what's going to happen. Some people are investing a bit into each of them just in case they're becoming successful. And if you have the money to diversify, that's fine. But be careful, any one of them could go to 0, right? I mean, even Litecoin could go to 0, Bitcoin could go to 0. So just be aware of that and diversify, and be careful.